Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Triggered. I'm your host, Zachary Clark, and you all know my co-host, Adam Furman. How you doing, Adam?
You're good.
Excellent.
It's Good Friday night.
Oh yeah, quite lovely. And we're coming to you live from the frozen wasteland surrounding Santa's workshop in the North Pole.
It's very cold up here.
Quite. So I have my festive sweater on and my warm fur cap.
Oh, I've got my hoodie on that I've had since I was 16.
I don't know if I can fit into my 16-year-old stuff. I put myself on the scale the other day, and this Lockdown 2 electric boogaloo is not doing me any favors. I'm up 15 pounds in a couple months.
Oh no.
Thanksgiving, eating candy nonstop. I've no barrier to snacks working from home. I'm just like, I'm a little peckish. I can go see what we got downstairs. I'll eat this entire summer sausage.
I want a snack. Oh hey, guess what? Here's this leftover burger. Oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure that I've actually probably like dug this out of the trash or something once or twice. Somehow mysteriously ended up there.
Wives. Always throwing stuff out.
I heard a comment the other day about like, well, at least that thing's gone, so it's not.
Tricked again. Yeah. I don't know. The wife and I got to a general understanding. Like, she just won't throw my stuff out anymore. But sometimes she tries to sneak things, and I think we finally put a stop to it. Because at one point in time over the last couple of years, I was looking for my diploma, from law school. I never got it framed or anything, but it was still in that cardboard tube or whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it anywhere. And Allison and I had convinced ourselves that she had just thrown it away, thinking it was trash. Just tossed it. This is just some more Zach's trash. Put it in the garbage. We found it in the move, though. So it didn't get thrown out. So the lesson, because like for a while there, she felt bad. Whenever she talked about throwing stuff out, she's like, oh, just like my law school diploma. You're going to put it in the trash. But, so, she didn't actually throw it away, but she felt bad and she thought she did. So, we put the kibosh on throwing away my stuff. I'm like, well, I'm just going to rifle through all your things and throw away the things that you love, Allison. We'll do that.
No. Mine happened after my hiking boots were actually removed and donated accidentally. And you know how I like my hiking.
Well, you do go hiking with the boys in the woods.
Yeah. It was an accident, so that's the It's like,
accident. Right.
she bought them for me.
Allison isn't ashamed. She'll just say, "Yeah, I did that." Like when she got rid of my rollerblades. She's like, "You don't go rollerblading anymore. What do you you need this for?" I'm like, "Who? You never know when a random roller hockey game might spring up.
Yeah.
Where are my blades, man?"
Or your high school rival shows up at your door and is like, "Hey man, you're a loser. Look what I can do." You gotta show him up.
Yeah. I can't. My blades, they're gone. Now we have to drop $100 to get a new pair of rollerblades. Be a 40-year-old man rollerblading up and down this block before you know it. Hey kids, you want to get a pickup game roller hockey going? And the cops will show up. And they're like, "What's this guy?" Don't talk to children, old man. Oh, I just want to relive my youth.
Well, we had a classmate who looked like the antagonist from Brink.
I went to college with a guy that looked just like that guy.
He sat next to me, you know. He muttered under his breath swear words and stuff.
Did he throw gravel around the corner of a curve in the race course so that Gabby hit it and wrecked herself in the middle of the race?
Oh my gosh. No, I think he was working for the Wisconsin Democrats.
No. Are you talking about Bowden?
He looks like the guy from Brink.
He does a little bit. I went to a school with a guy named Brian Snyder, who looked like the guy from Brink. That was a great film. Disney Channel original movies back in the day were fire.
Oh, they were pretty good.
F-I-Y.
F-I-Y-A-H. If you have been banned.
We have a guest star coming on. Norris the cat.
Hey, Norris.
Oh. What do you want? Go away. He's so giant. He's trapped in here with me, though. So he's stuck for the duration. Alright, let's get into it. First thing, we got up something new from the Scanner. Scanner Radio. Keeping up with all things infrastructure or damaging related, we have a latest 1050 at 8th and Hampshire Street. If you can't see it, this poor individual has decided to drive their car into a street light lamppost.
So the war continues.
Yeah. It's escalated. Violence on the streets. Vans versus stoplights. When will it end, my friends? When will humanity be restored to its ethical ways and end the violence against our infrastructure? Tell me. Tell me when. In the chat. No one's chatting about Infrastructure Wars 2020. Oh, but in other scanner news, 1400 Harrison, subject walking out with a bottle of liquor without paying for it, QPD en route. And I chose this one as a cautionary tale.
Oh yes.
Let me tell you folks, you fine folks out there in the world, about the Jones burglary. You may not know this, but a burglary offense is a very serious crime, and it carries along with it years-long prison sentences. And people don't think that shoplifting is a big deal necessarily. Oh, what are they going to do if I just walk out of this gas station with a bottle of Jack Daniels? It's just a bottle of Jack Daniels. What, a slap on the wrist, a fine. They probably won't even send the cops out to get me for this. Yada, yada, yada. Let me tell you something.
Hanged.
years in state prison
8 years. Yes.
for shoplifting a bottle of Jack Daniels. People v. Bridgewater, an Illinois state case. Look it up. Because if you enter a store with the intent to commit theft or another felony, then your entry is unlawful and it is considered a burglary and a serious felony for which you can spend years in prison. The Jones burglary. Shoplifting by another name. No, Your Honor, I didn't go into the store thinking I would steal the bottle of Jack Daniels. When I was there, I saw it there, and it was so tempting and delicious looking. I couldn't resist. My intent formed after I was in there, and so it was shoplifting. It was just theft of something less than $20.
Right.
And not a burglary for which I could spend 8 years in prison.
Yeah. I believe that the court transcript had a bunch of expletives by the guy in there.
He stood up and said 8 years? Are you kidding me? It's no joke. It's absolutely insane.
And it also drives up the price of alcohol for us other consumers.
Yeah. The whole theory pins on this idea that your entry into a place or your place being open to the public doesn't extend to you doing acts that aren't anticipated by your entry into it. So Walmart's open to the public, but only for people to go in there and shop, not to go in there and steal, obviously.
Or start fires.
And I guess I can wrap my head around it, right? I'm like, okay, all right, I can sort of get this, even though this is a little bit of an absurd stretch. It seems like some overzealous state's attorneys are like, you know what? Screw this guy. We're getting him. I can make this argument that this is a burglary, and we're gonna send him up the river for 8 years.
I think that's exactly what happened. This guy was smart, and the state's attorney's like,
yeah, screw you. And then they're like, well, technically he's right. Prison for you, buddy. Oh, tricky.
The rivalry continues.
Weirdly, and this is the strange part. All right, burglary in Illinois has two pieces of establishing evidence. This is the element you have to meet. It is entry into a place without authority or remaining. So, remaining. So, if you were to hide in Walmart someplace, for example, and this in itself is weird, right? If you were to remain in someplace,
like bathrooms,
and then it closed, and then you stole stuff, and then you left, then that's a form of burglary too. Or if at some point in time you were asked to leave, like a residence, your authority to be there has terminated, then you are committing burglary if you continue to remain in with the intent to do the crimes or theft. But the Supreme Court of Illinois has said that remaining in a store currently open to the public against the authority of you being there doesn't trigger burglary. All right. And so this is a little tricky because it doesn't make a lick of sense. So I'm just going to walk this through you. If you walk into Walmart intending to shoplift a bottle of Jack Daniels, that's a felony and it's burglary. If you walk into Walmart and while you're there, you develop the intent to steal Jack Daniels, all right, and you steal it and then you leave, that's not a burglary. And the weird thing is, the exact same theory that makes it repeal your authorization into the first instance is specifically rebuked in the second. They say that, all right, the place is open to the public to shop. If you enter it to steal, you don't have authority to be there. So your entry is without authority, and then it's burglary. Second instance. All right, so you're in a store and you develop the intent to steal. But that doesn't mean that your authority to be there has been revoked and you're no longer authorized to remain in the store. This is how it would go consistently with the original theory. You decide to steal something unless you leave, i.e., if you remain in the store with that illicit intent, then you are committing the burglary under the second part of the first element. You are remaining without authority. You don't have authority to steal, obviously, and so you can't remain in the store any longer. But they said, no, 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 no. That's too much like punishing shoplifting like a felony burglary. I've had a bug up my butt about that nonsense for like a decade.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a lick of sense. It's stupid. Jones burglaries are crap. And it's impossible to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
I don't know, man. I think that well, you already have you have a theory about anywhere approaching 10 years prison, anyways. 10 years or over for prison, but I don't know. Part of me thinks just put people in stocks in the town square and public shaming, throwing food at them or whatever, and like they'll get the hint.
Well, maybe with this new Supreme Court we got, we can roll back some of those Eighth Amendment protections. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think anybody's into repealing Eighth Amendment rationales for... I don't even know how it works in practice from the way that I understand the jurisprudence. It only goes one way. Toward more lenient punishments.
Yeah, we have progressed in society and in, throughout time. Therefore, we are more advanced now, and we also, therefore, know more than what we did in the past. And so, whatever is in the present is therefore better than the past. So, that's kind of the gist that I got.
No, I mean, okay. Even saying that absurd thing you just said is true.
No, I don't believe it. But that's like the gist that I get from it. Is it like, oh, we're so much better now than we were before? Obviously, these things were bad in the past, and we know that because we're in the future now, and the stuff is in the past. So it's wrong.
Like I said, I don't think that is possibly could be true, but even assuming that it is, the way that it works is it's the unusual part, cruel and unusual punishment. And so they say things that are custom, and so that if things have gone out of use, even, then they become archaic and no longer usual, and so we can only buy. Because you can't have any new sorts of punishments or innovations in that environment because they themselves are unusual to what you're doing.
Correct.
And so you're in this ever narrowing corridor of available remedies for criminal conduct. Hanging people fell out of use. We can't hang folks anymore. That's just cruel. There's even people that try to argue that capital punishment itself is a violation of the Eighth Amendment. I'm like, how?
The hanging part is, I would say, that's more like unusual right now.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, I don't know. The little that I know about it, it doesn't seem to be so much cruel as unusual. And now there's taking at face value. I mean, I don't know. I haven't studied lethal injection, but every now and then, like you said, capital punishment itself. It's like how lethal injection is, cruel and unusual because of X, Y, and Z.
Well, you had those guys that were mixing up bathtub lethal injection cocktails because they couldn't get the official drugs off the actual market. Was
Yeah.
that Missouri?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Hey, boy. Dale, Dale over on lot 32 is,
He's cooked up some bathtub lethal injection juice. Yeah, there was like some failed executions because the drugs didn't work right. These kinds of things.
Right.
There's been some collateral attacks on lethal injection as an execution method because it caused fluid to build up in the lungs. And
Right.
they say that whoever it is that's, getting the hot shot is experiencing suffering. And then, like, several commentaries I heard about this, and finally someone said, you know what isn't illegal and has been held up to be a valid form of execution that's like almost completely painless was firing squad. And I just sat back as I was driving the car and I'm like, bring it back, Revern.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've progressed in our punishment regime to the point where we think that these like cold and sterile executions are in some way better or more moral in whatever way to killing a guy with a gun. And I'm like, it's the same thing, except for you can feel better about yourself because it looks like he's falling asleep on a table or whatever.
Right.
Ugh. It's still distasteful. They put it behind closed doors. They hide it in the basement of wherever the execution's taking place, and there's like a handful of people there
Yeah.
to witness
There was
the killing of a guy. And I'm like,
I remember reading a book in college about it was like some advanced, I don't know how I ended up in this class. It was a grad level class when I was an undergrad. But it talked a lot about criminal punishment in the early United States. And it talked about how it was very much a public spectacle. Either you'd go out for the town square for a hanging or for they didn't really do firing squad. It's a lot of hangings. And
keep going. I'll be right back.
I don't know. It's just it was a public spectacle, and people would go out there almost as far as a form of entertainment, but it also worked as somewhat of a deterrent. Because it'd be like, hey, look, little Johnny, this is what happens when you step out of line. This is what happened to the one murderer who ravaged the town or whatever. And then they would get hanged. Like, they did that on, what was that? The True Grit, right? Yeah, they showed that. The original one, John Wayne.
Yeah, I think they had the hanging scene in both of those.
I haven't seen the new one, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay. I think I liked it more than the original. The original was, I don't know. It was for the dark
Hanging.
for the dark material involved. The original one was like shot in like bold Technicolor and it's like all this stuff.
Yeah, it's the Coen Brothers film, so it's it is what it is.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I see this. All right. Capital punishment has there's a whole spectrum of reasons that it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It's terrible that you would need to do it, but you need to identify things in your society that are absolutely verboten. You can never. And it's not just the thing like, oh, if I do that, I might die. It's that your society has declared that this thing is such a taboo thing to do that you will be killed if you do it. And in order to have that reinforcing effect and have it present in the minds of people, you need to have these executions publicized in some manner, and you don't need to necessarily have the murder of the guy. I don't want to call it murder. It's the killing of the criminal displayed to everybody.
Yeah,
But
it's not a murder.
it needs to be visible and understood that these things are horrible and we will not tolerate it. And if you do them, you will be killed. And it doesn't necessarily have that thing, right? Because in the heat of the moment, whenever you're doing the horrible thing, most people that get to that place aren't thinking like, oh my gosh, they might execute me if I get caught. It's like trying to impute a rational motive and a calculation going on inside the mind of somebody who's doing one of these most depraved acts as declared by the society. But it is to build into the very fabric of the culture itself the idea that there are things that you don't do, and it's not that you feel that punishment would be more than you want to bear, but that the society itself ingrains in you that those things are the worst types of things that you could do.
Yeah, and I just want to add, it's not murder. It would be, you go through your due process. You have, an assessment by a jury of your peers or the judge, and
It's a killing. You're doing a killing.
it is a killing. It's not like it's just, hey, it's you did it. I mean, there's flaws and stuff. There's mistakes that are made and whatever. But in a perfect world, due process was made, and you are the one who committed the bad thing, and then you'll be punished.
Yeah. There's other things too, like
a guy sitting and wait in the alley, waiting to grab the pearl necklace and shooting your parents, forcing you to take on the underworld.
Oh, the Waynes.
I don't know. I just went with it, but it's different.
Yes, but that's just one aspect of it. There's also the self-help aspect. In a world where you don't have a state who has monopolized force, who is willing to take revenge on your behalf, to do that, it takes away that sating that desire and need in the people that have been harmed. So if someone commits a vile capital offense against your family, murders your child, right? And the state says, oh, I don't know, that person, killing people from the state is bad. They only get 10 years in prison. Then that has less motivation for me to let the state take care of it, and I will just go take revenge on that guy. Self-help.
Yeah, that's how blood feuds start.
Exactly.
And
part of the progression of the criminal justice system is to create that remedy and that catharsis for the people that were victimized by the criminals. They are being punished so that you don't have the motivation or the legitimacy in taking the revenge into your own hands. All right, so another aspect of it. All right, so what punishment is sufficient to create that idea if you eliminate capital punishment for somebody who rapes and kills a man's child? Raped and killed my child. They got life in prison. And because we can't make prisons horrible places to be because that's cruel and unusual, it's just like they're warehoused in a comfortable cell with cable TV for the rest of the days.
Yeah, cable TV and Wi-Fi. They can have their Facebook account or whatever.
Yeah. And now I'm like, okay, well, if I see him wandering into the court that day, I'm just going to kill him right there. Because I don't care. And once again, and it creates these, like you said, blood feuds and reinforcing terrible societal negative reinforcement stuff. What do they call them? Feedback loops of badness.
Oh, no.
Which is what the system was put in place to try to avoid. And so that's another aspect you want to get into place. And also in general, there is a continuing higher idea of moral offense that these people have done that thing that we said is taboo, and to the extent that we allow them to continue to breathe the good air, every breath they take is an offense to the rest of us for what the crime that they committed.
Yeah, I mean, what's the languages in the like the older statutes talk about them committing crimes against nature? I mean, how much more of like a archaic like a root for the law can you get? You know, like it's like, oh, this is probably one of the first laws written. Commit a crime against nature, hanged.
Yeah. So, even if you don't kill a guy, all right. So let's take capital punishment off the table. The punishment that the person receives needs to be sufficient to meet those systemic goals of whatever the system is. And so I don't know. You have to keep that in mind whenever you think that. So if you ever find yourself in a place where you're trying to craft criminal justice policy in your society, it's not just as the Illinois Constitution requires that all punishments be based on a goal of returning the offender to useful society, which is an important part of the criminal justice system, but it also needs to satisfy those other elements to create a social culture that establishes that these behaviors are taboo, and that creates a satisfying remedy for the people that are victims of the crime, so that you don't have people going out on their own and saying, oh, that child rapist is only going to get 10 years in prison. We'll see about that. And you find him hung up on a lamppost. Not good. There's not due process in that.
Well, no. But maybe justice was served.
That's the idea. You don't know. Anyway. Don't get me started on this stuff. All these people, these bleeding hearts coming out saying, oh, capital punishment, it's all, oh my.
I don't know.
Oh, you're idiots. What? People die every day. We're so divorced from death, and we think that death's so far away that everybody's just like completely cut off from it, and they are pearl clutching when you execute a murderer. Oh
I've always thought, I've always understood the position of more like you know what? I really wish that I didn't have to do this. I wish that our streets didn't have murderers running around. But you know what? That's the world we live in, and we want to, discourage murdering.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't understand the anti-death penalty people for that reason. You know what else I don't understand, Adam? Monoliths.
Oh no. Yeah, this is some weird PR thing.
Maybe we haven't got to the punchline on it yet. But to let people know that don't know, there are apparently these large sheet metal monoliths. They're like 8 feet tall. They're not very large. I saw some videos and pictures of them. They're narrower than a man is, but a little bit taller. And they're putting them in remote areas. I guess they're showing up around the world in different areas. There's these mysterious metal monoliths showing up in state parks and on mountainsides and stuff. Yeah. We don't know where the mysterious monoliths come from, but we do know they're art.
Oh, are they already calling it art?
Well, this is Vox, so... are they art? I don't know. People just say things.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's like a guy gesturing to butterfly, and it says monolith, and the guy says, "This is art."
Is this art? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not art at all.
Uh-oh.
It's a giant metal thing that's somewhere. And I don't care about any of this stuff. But I did get a chuckle because some people said it was just aliens or whatever, and this is just what 2020 is going to bring.
Really?
Aliens.
Yeah.
But then I came across this. I believe that you sent this to me.
Yes. That is the punchline.
The monolith in California State Park was stolen. In a video, a group of 3 men are seen pushing the statue over. What are we calling this statue? Over and chanting, "America first!" and "Christ is King!" The men, one of whom was wearing a "Make America Great Again" headband, called part of the monolith's construction gay, then replaced the monolith with a wooden cross. It is a decidedly bleak turn in the ongoing monolith saga that has generally been a delightful distraction for a world racked by a pandemic.
I didn't know this was a joyful occurrence. I thought it was like
it's just like a weird thing.
Especially like it reminds me if this is a joyful occurrence, like, oh, this is a good distraction. Reminds me of those people on the top of is it that KPMG building or whatever in LA, and Independence Day, and they're like holding up the signs, "Yay, aliens!"
Yes. And then they get blasted.
Yeah. No. I chuckle at that thing because I don't know how that construction could be. I don't know how the construction could be gay.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's what it is. But it took a bleak turn as they toppled it, yelling, "Christ is King."
Replaced it with a wooden cross. I hope that it was an actual. I hope they like hauled up like a giant wooden cross that was,
like it was literally their cross to bear.
Yeah, yeah. But my guess is it was just some like stitched together branches or whatever.
Yeah, or something like that they use for funerals or a grave marker or whatever.
Anyway, I read this and I thought it was based, as the kids say.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only one.
No.
This guy, he tweeted underneath the thing, it said, "Based and cross-pilled. Jesus is King."
How many different crosses he has? He has like the Eastern Orthodox cross and then like the Latin cross.
Yeah.
And it's just so good.
It was simply wonderful. And I think that you had tweeted, like, "Cut down their Asheraths and burn their altars. And burn their bales."
Yeah, that's like the verse that came to mind was cutting down their Asherah poles and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what this is. It's probably some stupid PR stunt or whatever, but whatever.
I'm like that guy though. I'm cross-pilled. If they did it right, I'm all for that. If some idiots can put some giant metal nonsense up in the park, then some other idiots can go tear it down and then put up a giant cross to Jesus in there.
Yeah. It was likely an illegal construction. It was a state park.
Yeah, and then I'll go on Twitter and be like, "This is art." And it's just the cross of Christ crucified
on top of the toppled obelisk.
Yeah. He has defeated all other idols and gods.
Even fake aliens.
Yeah. All this nonsense. But everybody, like, in the secularist thing, like, "Oh, they're ruining our fun monolith thing." I'm like, whatever, they're doing their own fun thing that's, directly confronting yours and also promoting this thing that I like, so I'm on board with it. And you know what I don't like?
Murderers.
It's true. But also that they're going to give you a little handy card to carry around once you get the coronavirus vaccine. CNN reports, "This is the card you'll get when you eventually get the COVID-19 vaccine. Everyone will get a card they can put in their wallet that will tell them what they had and when their next dose is due," says Dr. Kelly Moore of the Immunization Action Coalition.
Oh, no. I hate it.
They put all of your vaccination records on a card, so I didn't think much of that part. But I thought strange that there was a special card specifically for the coronavirus vaccine.
Yeah.
I don't completely understand both the weirdness around it. So talking about like this weird card situation, and then all the people that are like super anti-coronavirus vaccine that are like, I'm not getting that ever. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm probably not going to get the coronavirus vaccine, I'll tell you that. But that's because I have probably a 0.0000002% chance of getting it and having any ill effects at all. And
Yeah,
I
but-
probably have a 0.0000003% chance of having some adverse side effect to a vaccine.
Yeah. You know, the New York Times put out this, like, how many people would be in line in front of you for the coronavirus vaccine survey. And you could enter your little information about your demographics and whatever. And then they'd be like, like, there'd be 1 billion people in front of you in line because you're a 30-year-old, whatever.
Yeah.
You're non-essential. I think we are essential.
We're essential, but we're not a high vaccine priority. Especially you. You're already immune.
It's uncertain.
I would 100 times not. Only thing a vaccine does is to get your immune system to recognize and fight off the virus. So if you've had it and recovered, your body's already gone through that process. There's no point in being vaccinated after that.
Why do you get a flu vaccine every year?
It's a different flu. There's different strains.
Different COVID strain. There you go.
It's not, though. That's the thing.
But it's a different COVID-19 strain.
No, it's not. That's the thing.
I'm just saying that's what the argument's going to be.
It's not. That's dumb.
You just said that from the fake CNN news report that they that your card would say whether or not you're a legal or illegal vaccinated person, and then when your next when your next dose would be due. So you're going to be constantly on the juice for this vaccine, and I don't know, you're driving without your papers, or you're driving and you're not dosed up. Sorry, Chief. At this random checkpoint, you got to pull over to the side of the road. Wait, it's probably a Predator drone, but anyway.
It's just that black and white image, and you're in the square thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It kills everybody in a 3-block radius. We had to get that COVID vaccine denier.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, I just blew a lot of hot air, but like, the thing said, when your next dose was due, so they're apparently planning on dosing you every 3 months for some reason or
I think that it might just be like a multi-series thing, like you have to get the MMR thing like 3 times or whatever.
Nope. When I had it, they said that the current scholarship said antibodies were only blah, blah, blah for 3 months or whatever, and then you had no antibodies for it. So, I don't know. I don't know what that means.
I read an article after that came out that said that the reduction in antibodies after you fight off an infection is a natural process that your body goes through after that happens. You just have a reduction. You don't have to keep that same level because you aren't currently fighting an infection of the coronavirus. Doesn't mean you're no longer immune. It's like chicken pox. I don't have like peak level of chicken pox antibodies running through my veins right now. But if I was exposed,
you're due for another dose, Zach. Where are your papers?
Molly got her vaccine for chicken pox, and she still got that dang virus. So I don't know
Ooh.
what. So I'm still gonna get coronavirus after I get the coronavirus vaccine. Except for if I get the coronavirus vaccine, I survive the coronavirus vaccine, then I get exposed to coronavirus, and that exposure results in a coronavirus infection. Then my body will have a better chance of fighting it off, and instead of having a 0.0000002% chance of having an adverse side effect, I have a 0.0000001% chance of having an adverse side effect from the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Cut in half, right there, man.
The loss of smell and taste is kind of the blessing and a curse.
Well, I told you, I'm like, I would be eating like super hot stuff.
Dude, I was dipping. I mean, I regularly eat sriracha, but like that was the first thing that I'm like before like the positive came in. I was like dipping in sriracha. I'm like, kind of, it's just like, I don't know, this the texture and stuff. Recognize something in my brain as something else other than blazing hot substance, and I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah, I was thinking about like, I could do that one chip challenge or something like that.
Put the last dab all over a hot wing and just like eat the whole thing.
You still get the like alcohol and stuff. That was like zero. You get like zero taste, zero like temperature fluctuation in
Dangerous.
your mouth. But you could totally feel everything in your throat. So like even with the hot stuff, you could feel the burn in the throat.
I see.
So
I just don't know why these people don't trust the government, though. I mean, it's not like the government would ever do anything that's not in your best interests in foisting a coronavirus vaccine. I mean, just look at the police. The police always do what's best for us.
yeah, well, especially with like vaccines and stuff, right? What is that? Well, as far as took more stuff from people than burglars. Oh my goodness!
Asset forfeitures surpass burglaries.
I disagree with this. Someone, unless it was a cop who stole it from my yard, someone took my grandfather's cast iron bell.
Yeah,
find them.
and for every cast iron bell thief, there was 1.25 police officers who executed asset forfeiture against alleged drug dealers.
Yeah. You know what, Zach? No. Some of the stuff, I don't know, because I haven't looked at the data. But there's a portion of this is bunk. Because you know what? I attended a continuing law education seminar, and you know exactly where I'm going with this. There was this criminal defense attorney who got up and she was railing on. She was railing about law enforcement and asset forfeiture, and she's like, I don't know, the cops just take stuff from my clients. I have no clue. And I don't know why my clients have $10,000 in cash on them at any given time.
They don't trust banks.
They don't trust banks. They just don't trust banks. They have thousands of dollars on cash on them at any given time, and the cops just take it, and they say it's drug money. I just don't.
They're unemployed. They have thousands of dollars in cash on them.
Yeah.
They're standing around known drug neighborhoods, loitering on the street.
That's
That doesn't mean
exactly-
that they're selling drugs.
Yeah, and all the, well, we live in a county that's not soft on crime
We
at all.
live in a society. Yeah.
And all the private practice attorneys are like looking at each other like, okay, you know what?
Yeah, that lady was
This dude's obviously a drug dealer, and this is some bleeding heart that's giving us the spiel here.
Look, and I completely get it. That guy
They're
was
obviously talking about our one drug dealer in town who
almost
Dale.
certainly a drug dealer. What I'm saying is that the way that civil asset forfeiture works, you don't have to establish that they are an actual drug dealer before you steal their stuff.
take.
No. It's a taking, I guess. I don't know. I can't believe that it conforms with the takings provision of the Constitution.
There's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't believe. That's another topic for that's another discussion.
Yeah,
But
I don't think the cops just get to repossess your Hummer because you were arrested on suspicion of drug dealing and were never convicted of that crime, and now you don't have your car anymore. Sorry, that's how the law works. We had a, what do they call it? A preponderance of the evidence showed that you were one, and we didn't have to prove you guilty of a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a civil claim, so we have a lower standard, and that's how we can get around having to show that you're an actual criminal before we steal your property. Bogus. Go through the motions, man. If you're gonna steal a guy's thing, show he did the crime and then do it. I don't care then.
That wouldn't be stealing. That wouldn't be stealing then.
Stealing, murder, whatever. There's just words I use.
It's like, hey, this Hummer was used to drug traffic, and we've got, beyond a reasonable doubt that this Hummer was used to murder people and drug traffic. We're gonna take this Hummer.
Yeah.
Clean it up and then sell it at auction.
Whatever. In Springfield every year they would do this police memorial parade, and all of the law enforcement, units of the state would send their contingent. So there'd be a couple cars from my local town or the one over and whatever, and you'd always have a few that were like this giant yellow Hummer that had "Dare" painted across the side. And it was repoed or civil asset forfeiture from some drug dealer. They then turned into the Dare Mobile. I thought that would have counteracting effects, because then like you're pulling up to the middle school or whatever, and you're like, oh, this is the Dare car. Oh, how'd you get that? We possessed drug dealers had this. What, drug dealers can get giant yellow Hummers? Oh wow. Maybe that's a lifestyle I might be interested in looking into.
People say that, but I don't know, because it's like, that's the lifestyle. It's like, and now look who has it. The person had that car for 14 months, and then it was taken.
Yeah.
For a preponderance of the evidence.
The brightest flame burns quickest.
The person wasn't a drug dealer.
Living fast and loose, man.
He was going through a midlife crisis and had, 20 grams of coke on him.
It's part of the romanticism of the lifestyle.
Yeah, whatever.
Street life.
We have a Corvette, a red Corvette, or a red Camaro or something. That's our Dare vehicle.
Yeah. Usually a repossessed drug car.
It might be. I don't know. Have you called them up? Do that Monday.
One of these days I'm going to get my act together and we're going to have interviews on this show. We'll be calling up people.
Oh, the Dare officers. That'd be great.
We'll have a little call-in segment. I don't know how that would work. I don't know how any of this works. Speaking of not knowing how things work, apparently the president has decided that he's going to attach to a defense authorization spending a repeal of Section 230.
Yes. Why not?
And he's got Senator Lindsey Graham 100% on board. I support President real Donald Trump's insistence Section 230 repeal be part of the defense authorization bill. Big tech is the only industry in America that cannot be sued for their business practices and are not meaningfully regulated. This must come to an end.
Yeah. Well, what's the deal on this? The reason why this is being supported is because otherwise he'll veto that national defense bill. Is that the
that's
deal?
His threat. Obviously, that's what he's saying in order to push this thing, the repeal of 230. But that, I don't know if you guys know. I'll let you know a secret. But 230 doesn't have anything to do with the regulation of social media or big tech companies. 230 only acts as a liability shield against the actions of third parties posting defamatory or otherwise copyright or otherwise infringing materials on your website. And you get more protection as a platform provider in a situation where it's defamation or those sorts of things versus copyright stuff. There were separate processes and whatever. But anyway, third-party postings aren't the responsibility of the platform provider. They don't have a legal responsibility to police their platform to remove illegal content. So if you made a YouTube video accusing public figure of heinous crimes or having terrible diseases or these kinds of things, defamation, slander, I believe, then YouTube itself isn't liable for that under 230.
Public officials and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, if you commit defamation in a YouTube video, YouTube can't be sued because that defamation is on their platform. In traditional media, if you republish defamation, then you are liable as well.
Right.
Not so on the internet since Section 230 got passed. And it's a reasonable thing. If you have a message board and it's got like 10,000 users, it's a good to have the ability to have an open conversation and then hold the person that's individually posting things responsible and not the platform that would impose on them a giant regulatory responsibility to try to police all of the posts and to have responsibility for the bad acts of the people posting there. If you have a problem with what John659 said about your mother on the Tech Daily message board, you bring it up with John, sue him for the defamation, whatever. I'm not republishing it just because he put it on my message board. The trouble came when the courts got a hold of this thing. And this is my only axe to grind with Section 230. As I described it, perfectly fine. I don't have any problem with that. You shouldn't have any responsibility for doing that kind of thing. If, however, you are a newspaper and you have an online vertical, so you have a website where you post your news stories, if your employees write an article that you then publish online, courts have determined that that is third-party content published on your platform that you are not liable for. New York Times reporter posts defamation in an article on the New York Times website. New York Times isn't responsible because 230 provides insulation for it, even though it was their employee in their newspaper that did the thing and promoted by them and all this sorts of things. Additionally, 230 would protect you from, say, passing along on social media something that was defamatory. So like I said, traditionally, if you republish or pass on defamatory material yourself that you heard, then you are equally liable. Well, maybe not the same amount. Depends on. You can even be more liable because it depends, right? So a guy posts a defamatory thing and he's got 3 Twitter followers. Nobody has seen this. And you have 1 million Twitter followers. And then you retweet it or republish the defamation to your 1 million people and you give it this giant megaphone and it goes viral, right? Well, 230 says that you're not responsible because that was a third party that posted it. You weren't the person that did it, even though you took a affirmative step in publishing and republishing that thing and promoting it. So, to the extent that you want to reform 230 so that those kinds of conduct would fall into the bucket of unprotected stuff, 100% on board. But this nonsense that this fine senator from Virginia is talking about doesn't make a lick of sense. 230, if you got rid of it, wouldn't allow you to regulate the tech companies any more than you do now. It would just make them liable for the defamation posted on their websites, and it would require them to shut down.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Not from what I've gathered, it's not necessarily about allowing them to be regulated or such. It's more along the lines of negative feelings of the fact that that they've already like assumed sort of their own regulations and imposed them on their users, and it's not in favor of X, Y, or Z tribe, and so it's like, you know what, burn the whole place down. Because I mean, if without 230, then they would actually have to police it if they wanted to maintain their. I mean, for Twitter, and I think Twitter and Facebook both have stock and shareholders and stuff. So
I don't even know what it would look like.
well, I mean, I don't know either. But basically, they would be liable for defamation and stuff, even if you and I tweeted at each other. And
yeah,
I mean, well,
this is what I'm saying. How it doesn't you couldn't
Zach stinky at 5 p.m. and it's like, no,
run,
it's not. It's at 6.
You couldn't run the website. You'd be bankrupt in a day.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They would have to they would have to shut down or be open to endless liability or endless risk.
There's no ability to police that because you'd have to have instantaneous. No. And even then, that would just mitigate your damages because you'd still have damages for the moment in time where that defamation was published.
Right, exactly. So I think that's just basically like, you know what, that's where I think it's coming from, not necessarily about a regulation standpoint, but just by kind of like by operational law. I mean, I don't know, that's maybe a stretch to say that, but it's just like where the chips may lie or where the chips may fall, like that's basically gonna just, the amount of risk and liability would put them into obscurity.
What they're trying to do is, and you were touching on this, is to get it so that they can't discriminate against the viewpoints of people. Sort of a First Amendment protection on their platforms.
Yeah. Why did they deplatform Alex Jones?
Yeah.
That's like the thing, right?
230 has nothing to do with that. So anybody that says that 230 is going to prevent them from censoring you, it requires them to, in fact, be ultra censors because now they're liable for everything that you write.
Correct. This is the stick, right? This is the threat that says, hey.
Only to the extent that you're saying that we're going to absolutely destroy all internet posting of a site larger than like 100 people.
Yeah, I mean
if you don't,
to be what it is.
If you
but
don't,
I mean whether or not it's just hot air. I mean I don't know.
Well, it's just dumb.
That seems to be what they're doing.
If there's limited precedent, I mean I don't know. I've looked at this a couple times and I haven't got too deep into it. But there is some precedent in holding certain private forums to be limited public forums that are required to treat postings and public the ability to express viewpoints as protected under the First Amendment. And I think that that's what we're talking about. I think that you need to read into that. You can even create a new statute that says the
social media
free speech protection.
Whatever.
To the extent that, I mean, I don't know, you could even do a thing like wrap into it pervasive, use. Once you become so large, even, and say that once you get such a reach, you've become, for the purposes of this statute, a limited public forum, and these restrictions are placed upon you, and if you violate them, then you are, subject to fines and penalties and these sorts of things.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I'm on board with that, too.
Well, in the 80s, I think shopping malls and stuff came under attack to that, or I don't want to say come under attack, but that was where it was prevalent because shopping malls were the new town hall or the town square, where you could post things or canvas or whatever. So
there's in that there's like people that were canvassing in malls, and also labor strikes and picketing
No,
and those
don't
sorts of
even-
things also
labor law.
fall in that, and to the extent that you have
Right.
protections on private property regarding certain things under the law, that there is some precedent that establishes that those things can be regulated. And in this way, I would say that this would also fall into that bucket. So if you wanted to, Lindsey Graham, I know you watched the show. To the extent that you would want to fix this, legitimately fix it, and not talk about nonsense about Section 230 that's not going to affect what you're talking about, sponsor some legislation that would regulate giant social media types and forums like, I mean, I'm sure there's tech forum, GitHub or whatever, I don't know, regulate them as a limited public forum with certain free speech protections, or if they decide to discriminate, then they have to pay fines and shut down. Bingo, bango. End of the day, if I ran things, that's the way it'd be. All right, folks. And finally, new segment to wrap the show. Ice cold fact of the week. Straight from final level himself, Ice-T. Ice cold fact. Everyone is going to like you. Everyone's not going to agree with you. Everyone's not going to understand you. Everyone's not going to care about you or your problems. I accept this fact, and I'm perfectly cool with it. Hashtag maturity. I love Ice-T. By the way, follow Ice-T on Twitter.
Hey, he's great. Careful when you interact with him.
Oh, do not interact. He will roast you.
Yeah.
But that's our show for tonight, folks. Really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you know when our videos go up and when we go live. You can also follow us on Twitter. Adam and I's Twitter handles are located right below our pictures, and the Triggered Media Twitter account located right down there. If you would like to engage with us, feel free to comment below about what you liked, about how much you love Ice-T, either as an actor, starring actor in Law & Order SVU, or rap god, or social media icon. They all work.
Yeah.
And that's the end of my glass of scotch as well. Actually, that was bourbon. Four Roses Bourbon. If you'd like to sponsor us, Four Roses Bourbon, get in touch with us by sending a DM to Triggered Media. It's really good stuff. Anyway, Adam, did you have anything you'd like to add here at the end of the show?
I don't know. He became Canadian towards the end there, but no, I did not. I don't have anything to add. Nothing right now.
Is your book still on sale? Or is that sale over?
My book is not on sale. I just switched it a couple days ago. Back to full price.
You losers
So.
missed a chance. I can't say that. I bought it for full price when it came out.
No, it's worth it anyway.
It is. It's good. Really good. My dad was reading it. He said he liked it.
Oh, cool.
Eugene Clark, hashtag approved.
That's good to hear.
All right, folks. That's our show for tonight. We wish you luck, and we'll see you next week. Same time. Same channel.